Imagine this, you've crossed the age of 60. Life has shifted, priorities have changed, and suddenly the foundation you once relied on begins to feel uncertain. Your relationships, your body, even your finances, they all seem to reflect the inevitable passage of time. It's a sobering realization that the support system you assumed would be unwavering may no longer be as solid as you thought. But here's the truth. The most reliable support isn't always your family or even external circumstances. It's a set of pillars you cultivate over the course of your life. These 5 pillars are the bedrock upon which a fulfilling, resilient, and meaningful life is built, no matter your age. In this transformative discussion, we'll explore these 5 pillars in depth, what they are, why they matter, and how to strengthen them starting today. This isn't just about preparing for life after 60. It's about creating a life that's sustainable, joyful, and deeply rewarding at any stage. Your body is the vessel that carries you through life, and as you age, its importance becomes undeniable. By the time you turn 60, your physical health is no longer just one aspect of your well-being. It becomes the central determinant of your quality of life. And yet so many of us neglect it, treating it as though it will always remain functional, despite the demands we place on it. That's a dangerous illusion. At 60, the resilience you once took for granted begins to diminish unless you've made a conscious effort to preserve it. Your physical health becomes a negotiation with time, a negotiation you cannot afford to lose. Think of the small choices you make every day, the ones that seem insignificant in the moment. Skipping the walk because you're tired, opting for processed food because it's convenient, sitting for hours without movement because you're engrossed in work or entertainment. These decisions accumulate. Over decades, they shape the body you inhabit. By the time you're 60, those choices have compounded, and their effects are undeniable. This isn't just about aesthetics or fitness, it's about the freedom to move without pain, the ability to engage with life actively, and the energy to pursue what matters to you. When you neglect your health, the consequences aren't just physical. They ripple outward, affecting your mental state, your relationships, and even your sense of purpose. Chronic pain or limited mobility doesn't just confine your body, it confines your mind, narrowing the scope of your life. You begin to say no to opportunities, not because you lack interest, but because you lack the physical ability. That shrinking of your world can lead to frustration, regret, and even depression. And while external factors like genetics play a role, far more of your physical state is within your control than you might think. What does it mean to take control of your health after 60? It starts with movement. You don't need to become an athlete or spend hours in the gym, but you must move your body deliberately and consistently. Strength training, for instance, becomes essential, not just to build muscle, but to maintain the bone density and balance that keep you independent. Even simple activities like walking or stretching can make a world of difference. The key is consistency. Your body doesn't need perfection, it needs commitment. It thrives on routines, on small, intentional acts repeated daily. But movement is only part of the equation. Nutrition is just as critical. By 60, your body processes food differently than it did when you were younger. The indulgences you might have once shrugged off now have a greater impact. Prioritizing whole, nutrient-dense foods is not a luxury, it's a necessity. What you put into your body directly affects your energy levels, your immune system, and your ability to recover from illness or injury. Hydration, too, is often overlooked, but is foundational to your well-being. Your body is mostly water, and without adequate hydration, none of its systems function optimally. Sleep is another pillar of health that becomes increasingly important and increasingly elusive for many people as they age. It's not just about the quantity of sleep, but the quality. Poor sleep affects everything from your cognitive abilities to your emotional resilience. If you find yourself waking up tired or struggling with insomnia, it's a sign that your body is calling for attention. Addressing these issues through better sleep hygiene, stress management, or even medical advice can profoundly impact your overall health. Stress management is an often underestimated aspect of physical health. Chronic stress wreaks havoc on your body, contributing to everything from high blood pressure to a weakened immune system. By the time you're 60, the stressors of life have likely shifted. Maybe you're worried about retirement, about family dynamics, or about your own aging process. Whatever the source, it's critical to develop strategies to manage it. This could mean meditation, deep breathing exercises, or simply carving out time for activities that bring you joy and relaxation. Your health at 60 and beyond isn't just about surviving. It's about thriving. It's about maintaining the physical foundation that allows you to engage with the world fully. Without it, even the most meaningful relationships and pursuits can feel out of reach. The beautiful thing about health is that it's adaptable. No matter where you start, there's always room for improvement. The body is incredibly forgiving when given the chance. Even small changes, adding more vegetables to your meals, walking an extra 10 minutes a day, prioritizing sleep, can yield significant results over time. But health isn't just a personal responsibility, it's a moral one. When you take care of yourself, you're not just benefiting your own life, you're reducing the burden on others. Aging parents who neglect their health often become reliant on their children, not just emotionally, but physically and financially. That dynamic can strain even the strongest of relationships. By investing in your health, you're ensuring that you remain as independent as possible for as long as possible. You're giving your loved ones the gift of your vitality rather than the responsibility of your care. There's also a deeper philosophical aspect to maintaining your health. It's a recognition that your body is not just a tool, a gift. Treating it with care is an act of gratitude, a way of honoring the life you've been given. It's not about avoiding death, that's inevitable. It's about enriching the life you have left. Every day you wake up with the ability to move, to think, to engage, is a day worth cherishing. Financial independence is one of the most profound forms of freedom you can achieve. And as you age, its importance becomes glaringly clear. By the time you reach 60, you begin to realize that the financial safety nets you might have once relied on, whether it's family, government support, or the goodwill of others, can be shaky, unpredictable, and ultimately insufficient. There's a harsh but necessary truth here. If you've failed to establish a foundation of financial stability by this point, the weight of that failure can be crushing. It's not just about having money, it's about having control over your life, your choices, and your dignity. Financial independence is not merely a matter of survival, it is a safeguard against vulnerability. When you lack financial security, you're forced into situations where you must rely on others, and that dependence can create resentment, conflict, and even a sense of personal failure. This is especially true in relationships with family members. While many of us hope that our children or loved ones will step in to help us in our later years, that reliance can strain even the most loving relationships. The financial burden of caregiving or support, whether intentional or not, can weigh heavily on those we care about. This isn't to say that family won't help, it's that they shouldn't have to carry the full responsibility of your financial well-being. Well, to be financially independent is to preserve your autonomy. It's the ability to make choices based on what is right for you, not what is affordable, convenient, or imposed by circumstances. It means that if you want to travel, you can. If you want to spend your time pursuing hobbies or passions, you're not held back by financial concerns. If an emergency arises, you can handle it without plunging into panic or debt. These aren't luxuries. They're the building blocks of a life lived on your terms. But financial independence doesn't happen by accident. It requires deliberate effort, planning, and sacrifice. And this is where many people falter. They avoid thinking about money because it's uncomfortable, or they tell themselves there will always be time to fix things later. But later comes faster than you think, and the habits you've cultivated or neglected will determine whether you face your later years with confidence or regret. The road to financial security is not glamorous, but it is empowering. It's about consistency, discipline, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about your spending, saving, and earning habits. For those approaching or beyond 60, financial independence often hinges on a few key factors. The first is the ability to live within your means. It sounds simple, but it's a discipline that eludes many. It means understanding the difference between wants and needs, between temporary gratification and long-term security. Every unnecessary purchase, every indulgence that stretches your budget, is a trade-off with your future stability. Impact, living within your means, doesn't mean denying yourself joy. It means redefining what joy looks like. It's the satisfaction of knowing you're building a stable future, the peace of mind that comes from not being shackled by debt. The second factor is the cultivation of assets that generate income. By 60, the most valuable resource you've had is time, time to invest, time to save, time to build. If you've used that time wisely, you may have assets that work for you, investments, savings, property, or even a small business. These are the tools that create financial independence, allowing you to generate income without relying solely on your labor. So if you haven't built these assets, it's not too late to start, but the urgency is greater. Even small, consistent steps can make a difference. The goal is to create a buffer, a source of stability that insulates you from life's uncertainties. Another critical element is understanding and managing risk. As you age, the tolerance for risk changes. Investments that might have seemed exciting or promising in your 30s may be too volatile when your ability to recover from losses diminishes. Financial independence is about stability, not gambling. It's about balancing growth with security, ensuring that your resources are protected while still working for you. This requires education, attention, and often the humility to seek advice from those who understand the nuances of financial planning. Finally, financial independence is about more than just numbers. It's about mindset. It's about recognizing that money is not an end in itself, but a means to an end. Freedom, dignity, and the ability to live in alignment with your values. This mindset requires a shift away from consumerism, from the idea that happiness is tied to material possessions. True financial independence is not about having everything, it's about having enough and understanding what enough means for you. The consequences of ignoring financial independence are stark. Without it, you're at the mercy of circumstances and others. You may find yourself making compromises you never imagined, whether it's staying in a job you despise, downsizing in ways that feel like loss, or depending on family members in ways that strain relationships. This is not the life anyone envisions for themselves. And yet it's the reality for many who fail to plan. But financial independence is also a deeply empowering journey. It's the act of taking control, of saying, I am responsible for my future, and I will not leave it to chance. It's the recognition that every dollar saved, every wise decision made, is an investment in your freedom. And it's never too early or too late to start building that foundation. Because financial independence is not just about surviving after 60, it's about thriving, about living with dignity, and about ensuring that your later years are not a time of fear or limitation, but of possibility.
You ever notice how people who don't care about you always find a way to make everything about themselves? No matter what you're going through, no matter how much you need support, somehow they flip the script. You could be having the worst day of your life, and instead of asking, how are you holding up, they hit you with, yeah, well, you think that's bad. Let me tell you about my day. Every single time they make sure the spotlight stays on them. That's not a relationship. That's not friendship. That's selfishness in its rawest form. And here's the real kicker. These people know exactly what they're doing. They know you're kind. They know you care. They know you're going to sit there and listen to their problems, offer them support, tell them they're doing great. But when the tables turn, when you need someone to lift you up, silence, disinterest, a quick, that sucks, before they move on to something they actually care about. And if you call them out on it, if you so much as mention how one-sided things feel, suddenly you're the problem. Suddenly you're too needy. Suddenly you're asking for too much. But let me tell you something. Real relationships don't feel like that. Real friendships, real connections, real love, that's a two-way street. It's give and take. It's balance. It's not about one person always being the shoulder to lean on while the other person never shows up. It's not about one person always making the effort while the other just sits back and benefits. And yet so many of you keep pouring into people who wouldn't lift a finger for you. So many of you keep showing up for people who never show up for you. And why? Because deep down, you're hoping they'll change. You're hoping that one day they'll wake up and realize how much you've been there for them. You're hoping that one day they'll finally appreciate you. But let's be real. If they were going to appreciate you, they would have by now. If they were going to care, they would have already shown it. People don't suddenly wake up one day and decide to start treating you right. They either value from the start or they don't. And if they don't, then what are you still doing there? I need you to understand something. People who don't care about you will never put you first. Not once. Not ever. They will always choose themselves. They will always make excuses. They will always have some reason why they can't be there for you the way you've been there for them. And it won't matter how much you explain, how much you prove, how much you love them, they won't change. Not for you, not for anybody. Because they don't see a problem. As long as they're benefiting, as long as you're still around, still giving, still showing up, they have no reason to change. And that's the part that stings, right? Right? Realizing that you were never actually a priority to them. Realizing that all those late night talks, all those times you had their back, all those moments you had their back, all those moments you thought meant something, they didn't mean the same thing to them. Because if they did, you wouldn't be sitting here right now wondering why you always feel like you're the only one who cares. You wouldn't be sitting here wondering why they never treat you with the same love and respect you've given them over and over again. So let me ask you, when is enough enough? When do you finally say, I deserve better? When do you stop overextending yourself for people who wouldn't do the same for you? When do you finally accept that the people who truly care about you won't make you question their love, their loyalty, their presence in your life? Because I promise you, there are people out there who will see your worth without you having to prove it. There are people who will listen, who will support you, who will show up just because they care. No ulterior motives, no conditions, no games. And the only way you'll ever find them is if you stop wasting your time on the ones who don't. You don't need to convince anyone to love you. You don't need to prove your worth to anybody. The right people will see you. The right people will appreciate you, and the wrong ones, let them go. Let them wonder why you're not around anymore. Let them feel your absence the way you felt theirs every time you needed them. Because at the end of the day, you have to choose yourself the way they've been choosing themselves this whole time. Now, you ever notice how some people will only be nice to you when they need something? How they'll only check in when it benefits them? That's not love. That's not friendship. That's convenience. And the minute you stop serving their purpose, the minute you stop giving, stop bending, stop making yourself available, they vanish. No explanation, no remorse, just gone. Because they were never really there for you in the first place. They were there for what you could do for them. And the moment you stop being useful, you see their true colors. Now that's a hard pill to swallow. Because when you care about someone, You want to believe they care about you too. You want to believe that all those moments meant something, that all those times you were there for them, they were storing up that same energy to give back to you one day. But that day never comes, because they were never in it for you. They were in it for themselves. And the second you stop feeding their needs, they'll move on to the next person who will. That's a painful realization, but it's also a necessary one, because the people who truly care about you, they don't disappear just because you're not constantly giving. They don't stop showing up just because you're not useful to them in that moment. The real ones, they stand with you even when you have nothing to offer, even when you're struggling, even when you can't pour into them the way you used to. They don't love you for what you do, they love you for who you are. And I need you to understand something. Your worth is not measured by what you can give to other people. You are not an ATM. You are not a stepping stone. You are not someone's backup plan, their emotional crutch, their personal cheerleader while they never clap for you. You are a human being, and you deserve relationships that feel reciprocal. You deserve people who see you, who value you, who appreciate you without conditions. And the problem is, you keep making excuses for the ones who don't. You keep telling yourself that maybe they're just busy, maybe they just forgot, maybe they didn't mean it like that. But deep down, you know what it feels like when someone genuinely cares. You know what it feels like when someone is really in your corner. And you know what it feels like when you're just being used. You have to stop running from that truth. Stop pretending you don't see what's right in front of you. Because the longer you hold on to people who don't truly care about you, the longer you block the ones who actually do. The longer you allow yourself to be drained by people who only take, the longer you delay finding the ones who are ready to give. And let me tell you something. When you finally walk away from those people, when you finally stop being available to the ones who were never really there for you, you're going to see something real clear. You're going to see who actually values you, who actually respects you, who actually misses you when you're gone. Because people who care, they notice your absence. They don't just move on like you never mattered. They don't just replace you like you were nothing. They reach out. They ask what's wrong. They make an effort. But the ones who are just using you, they'll move on without hesitation. And as painful as that might be to witness, it's also the confirmation you need. You deserve more than being someone's convenience. You deserve more than one-sided relationships. You deserve the same love, effort, and energy you give. And if someone isn't willing to meet you halfway, let them go. Let them find someone else to drain. Let them sit in the absence of your presence and realize what they lost. Because you're done being the only one who cares. Stop making excuses for people who show you over and over that they don't care about you. Stop pouring into people who leave you empty. You deserve real, you deserve respect, you deserve loyalty. And if someone can't give you that, then they don't deserve you.